for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, and we're going to be looking at the possible 5th week in a row of holding the 20-week moving average as support. So if you guys like the content, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Please give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. So we know, as we've said many times, right, and the narrative, at least this narrative doesn't change, is that the 20-week moving average needs to hold as support for the bull market to really get going, right? And when we look back, we know that this was, the 20-week is what we held as support for months at a time, weeks at a time, months at a time, even during the last bull market. So when you look back at it, right, it just looks like it goes up monotonically. But in reality, there was a lot of these moves up and down, and a lot of these moves down tested that 20-week moving average, right? 20% moves down, 30, 40% moves down, all going to the 20-week moving average. And we've talked about this before, that the first successful test of the 20-week moving average would likely be a long one, right? I mean, if you look at the last market cycle, when we had that 20% drop to the 20-week moving average, it was a 20% drop down. And then after that point, we then moved sideways for, approximately 4 months. Okay, so it was approximately moving sideways for 4 months at that point. And if you look at subsequent tests of the 20-week, they were less. So the next one was around 11 weeks. We even had a test here that lasted 3 weeks. This one was a 2-week test. I drew it a little longer, but it was a 2-week test here. This was just a 1-week test. So you can see that every subsequent test of the 20-week moving average was less than the one before it. So if we were to assume, which, there's obviously a big assumption here, if we assume that we're in a bull market, which we don't know for sure, obviously hindsight will elucidate the truth later on, whether this is the beginning or not. But if we are, it really is the most bullish case for us to just hug the 20-week for an extended period of time, right? And we come down and test it identically at the 20-week moving average. We then move back up. We come down and test it again. We move back up. But the main thing, right, is that because the 20-week moving average is moving up monotonically right now, right? It's increasing as we speak. The price of Bitcoin needs to continue to move up as well, because if it doesn't, then we're going to see the 20-week moving average, right? Imagine if it came down to 9,800 back over here. If it had moved sideways, then eventually it would have had weekly closes below the 20-week moving average, which is not good, right? We've seen what happens when we close below the 20-week. It tends to not be good. With this one going down to the 100-week moving average, and then this one going down to the 200-week moving average, or the wick to the 300-week. So we know it's generally not good to have weekly closes below the 20-week moving average. It's currently at 10,207. Now, if you guys have been following the channel for a long time, you were here when we tried to hold the 20-week in the past, and it really wasn't much of a fight, right? The bulls barely even showed up. We maybe tested it for a couple days, but ultimately we fell back below the 20-week, and we kicked the can down the road. So far, you can see this is the 20-week moving average. This is a daily time frame. So this is the 140-day moving average, which is the same thing as the 20-week moving average. We had several tests, right, of the 20-week moving average here. Several tests of it. We had another test here. We might have another test over here. I don't know. But the key thing, right, is that so far it is holding as support, which is exactly what we need, right? The three main things we need the golden cross. We had the golden cross where the 50-day moved above the 200-day. We're above the 20-week moving average, and then the last test is to come back down to the 20-week and then hold it as support. So we want to continue to hold the 20-week moving average as support, and then move back up, right? Move up to the next level, maybe go back to 12K first, maybe we even come back down to the 20-week moving average again, hold it as support yet again, and then continue on up. So the next stepping stone, I would say, on our slower path back to 20K, to a sustainable 20K, would of course be, that $14,000 range. If you go back and look at monthly candles, and look to see, where the monthly candles peaked out at, you can see here that the two major candles of the last bull run that finished it off we're around 14K. So this would be the next stepping stone, in my opinion, right? So we have the stepping stone. It's approximately at $10,000. So here, this is one. We obviously had the other one at around $12,000. And so we have these stepping stones on the way, and sometimes we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But ultimately speaking, we're still slowly moving back to what I believe will be a sustainable 20K sometime in the next 16 months, right? I generally think the end of 2021 or the beginning of 2022 is when Bitcoin could reliably see a sustainable $20,000. And really not too much before then. So I think we have a ways to go. So again, buckle up. Just be ready. Be ready for the next year. I know a lot of people get frustrated thinking, "Oh, I really have to wait that much longer." I mean, if you bought in 2017, let's say you bought at the end of 2017, you've already waited 3 years, right? I mean, what's one more year among friends, right? We're a little over a year. It's not even that much longer if you think about it. I tend to think it'll be a little longer than a year from here, right? Because a year will only get us to the very beginning of the fourth quarter of 2021. I think it's more likely to be early 2022 than the end of 2021, but you never know. You really never know. So again, what we want to see Bitcoin do is to, again, have weekly closes above the 20-week moving average. And right now, if you look at the current price and take a measured move between the price where we currently are and the 20-week, we're approximately 3.5%, maybe 3.3% above the 20-week moving average. So we won't see the close until Sunday, which today, as I'm recording this, it's Saturday. But there's still some good hope here that we'll have yet our 5th weekly close. And remember, during the last market cycle, we had the first successful test of the 20-week lasted 16 weeks. Now, one of the things that some people might not realize when I talk about that is if you go back and look at the test, and we've talked about this before, the first successful test of the 20-week moving average here, right? We actually weren't identically on it, right? We had this local top as well, and we had this local bottom, which lasted here. So again, we came up to the local top, we came here, which corresponded to the local bottom and the 20-week, back to the local top, back to the 20-week, back to the local top, sideways to the 20-week, and then we blasted through. So one of the things we've spoken about, right, is if we were to see something similar to that, we might see if the local top is 12K, right, we came up, back to the local bottom, which was the 20-week, maybe back to the local top, which is 12K, maybe back to the 20-week, back to the local top, and then sideways, wait for the 20-week to catch up, and then we break out. I don't know if this is going to happen, of course, but I'm just saying if the last cycle were to repeat and we were to see something similar, that is what's happened. Obviously, there's probably a better chance that something different happens. I don't think the exact same thing would actually play out, but I'm just trying to give you an idea. So if we move back to 12K, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're done testing the 20-week locally, because we can see back over here, you could have said, oh, we held the 20-week as support, but we pretty quickly came back down to it. So, the 20-week moving average test of a support before we really reliably leave it, right, and move up to the next stepping stone, right, where you see a huge breakout, it could still be months away, right? It could still be months away. We don't really know how long that's going to take, but what we do know, or what we do speculate on, is that even if we are in a bull market, we're likely going to continue testing the 20-week moving average for weeks and weeks to come, right? And the thing that you need to understand about this is that altcoins, for the most part, not all of them, but for the most part, most altcoins will continue to get hammered against Bitcoin if it does continue testing the 20-week. Like if you just take snapshots of altcoin valuations against USD and against Bitcoin, and you look to see what they are every time Bitcoin tests the 20-week moving average, they tend to go lower and lower. Not all altcoins, but most of them. So this is just something you need to consider, right? People, when the market is testy and we're not sure what's going to happen, when Bitcoin is just above the 20-week, altcoins are a lot more bearish because, if Bitcoin were to drop below the 20-week, then it's the bad news bears for a lot of these altcoins. So again, stay level-headed here. We want to, we're a little bit more pragmatic on this channel. I'm not going to tell you it's going to 100K next year because I don't think it will. In fact, the main thing to look at are these regression bands, the logarithmic regression bands that generally show where we are in the market cycle. And the general idea, as we've said many times, is that we will probably move up to the prior all-time high of 20K within our regression band, right? And the regression band isn't going to reach 20K for another 16 months or so. Because if you look at the last cycle, we got to the prior all-time high within the regression band. If we do something similar, we're looking at least another 16 months from now or so. So I hope you guys enjoy the content. Remember, if you guys like the content and you want the access to the exclusive content, make sure you check out my website, intothecryptoverse.com. You get access to a premium Telegram alerts channel, a private chat room, a weekly report, a weekly video, and in addition to all this, you get access to the risk dashboard, which is what I use to trade, and the dynamic DCA strategy dashboard. So check it out. You can pay with crypto and get a discount, intothecryptoverse.com. So, the close is tomorrow, right? So again, it's just business as usual. Bitcoin, we want to see it continue to hold the 20-week moving average. And imagine a world, right? Imagine one of the if we're in the cryptoverse, right? There's many universes within the multiverse. If the one we live in happens to hold the 20-week as support, and then we move back up to the next level, then you will have lived through, right, the first test of the 20-week moving average, right? Which in my opinion is a big deal. It can be long, it can be grueling. People get antsy, people get impatient. They may dive into altcoins too soon sometimes. But this would likely be, a key point of the market cycle if in fact Bitcoin does hold the 20-week moving average here. And at that point, things can pick up again. We move back to we move back to a new level. We then come back down to the 20-week, continue to test it, and we just go about our merry way. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Also check out the Telegram channel in the description below, and also check out the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye.